Hello and welcome back to Learn English with Pretty. In today's podcast, we're diving into a book that reveals one of the most powerful principles for achieving massive success. It's The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. So the compound effect is the idea that small, smart choices repeated consistently over time can lead to remarkable results. Now imagine making tiny improvements each day. Even when they seem too small to matter, it's those small actions that can build up and transform your life in ways you never thought possible. So let's get comfortable and get ready to discover how these principles can apply to you. So let's hand it over to our hosts for today's conversation. Emily and Jack, the floor is yours. Let's get started.
All right, get ready to dive deep. Today, we're taking on Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect.
Ooh, this one's a classic.
It really is. You guys gave us a book that's basically a blueprint for success. So we're going to break it down, pull out those key strategies.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. You ready to unlock the secret of how tiny actions can create massive results?
Absolutely. I'm always up for some life hacks. What's so fascinating about Hardy's approach is that he takes this idea of compounding, something we might think we understand,
Right.
and then he just reveals its hidden power in literally every area of our life.
It's in everything.
It's not just about money, although that's definitely a good place to start.
For sure. And Hardy, he throws down this challenge right off the bat.
Oh, love a good challenge.
Right. Okay. Imagine you're offered $3 million right now.
Okay, I'm listening. 3 million cash.
No strings attached. Just boom, it's yours.
Sign me up.
Or you can take a single penny
A penny.
that doubles in value every day for 31 days.
That's a tough one. A penny. That's interesting.
Which would you choose?
I think, like most people, I'd probably grab the millions. Instant gratification. It's hard to resist.
Right. But there's a catch. That doubling penny at the end of the month would be worth over $10 million.
No way. Seriously.
That's the power of compounding in action. Those small, consistent gains, they build on each other exponentially.
It's like a snowball effect, right?
Exactly, like that snowball rolling downhill, gaining momentum and size with every rotation. And this principle, it's not just about finances. Think about your skills, your relationships, your health.
Oh, totally.
Those small, consistent efforts in any of these areas, they can create some really massive changes over time.
You're talking about the long game.
Yeah, it's not about those overnight transformations. It's about those steady accumulations.
Small wins every single day.
Exactly. And to bring this to life, Hardy, he introduces us to these three guys, Larry, Scott, and Brad. Think of them as your average guys living pretty similar lives, Same income, same habits, nothing too crazy.
I got it. The everyman.
Yeah. So Larry, he decides to stay exactly the same, no changes whatsoever. But Scott, he decides to make a few small positive tweaks to his routine.
Okay, I like where this is going.
He commits to reading 10 pages of a good book every day.
Easy.
Swaps out that mindless listening during his commute for something inspirational.
Like a podcast. Maybe this one.
Exactly. And cuts 125 calories from his daily diet. Just a tiny bit.
Small changes. I like it.
And then there's Brad. He starts indulging in those small, seemingly harmless, negative choices. A few extra cookies here, skipping his walk there.
Oh.
Right. At first, the differences between these three friends are barely noticeable, but Hardy fast forwards 31 months and the results.
Hit me with it.
They are mind-blowing. Scott, with those small but consistent positive changes, he lost 33 pounds, earned a promotion at work, and his relationships are flourishing. All because of those small daily improvements.
See, it's like those small things. Over time, they create this ripple effect across your whole life.
Right. And then there's Brad, indulging in those small negative choices. Gained weight, feels stuck in a rut at work, and his marriage, it's struggling. It's a stark reminder. Those seemingly insignificant choices we make each day, they really shape our future, for better or for worse. So I gotta ask you.
Shoot.
What small, consistent choices are you making every day that are shaping your future? Are they moving you toward your goals, or are they kind of quietly sabotaging your progress?
Whoa, that's a big question. But it's a crucial one, right? This goes back to the bigger picture. Recognizing the power we have to actually shape our own lives. It's not about luck or circumstance. It's about taking ownership of those small choices, those actions we repeat day after day. They have this compounding effect that ultimately determines where we end up.
And Hardy is a huge advocate for taking full responsibility for our outcomes, even when things seem totally outside of our control.
Totally. It's easy to play the blame game, point fingers at external factors when things go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But Hardy reframes this idea of responsibility.
How so?
He argues that taking ownership, even when things go wrong, is actually incredibly empowering.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not about blaming ourselves. It's about reclaiming our power to choose,
Right.
to learn from our mistakes, and to course correct.
I like that. Course correct.
And he uses this vivid analogy to drive home the point.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
He compares bad habits to a massive, stubborn bear.
A bear.
It's so hard to move, right? It takes immense effort to budget even an inch. But tiny choices, they create momentum like a spinning merry-go-round.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It helps us visualize how those small, seemingly insignificant actions, when repeated consistently, become this unstoppable force.
You build momentum.
Exactly. Creating systems, routines that actually make it easier to make the right choices day after day.
So we're talking about habits, right?
Yeah, and get this. Scientists say that 95% of our actions are habitual,
Wow, 95%. We're practically on autopilot most of the time.
which means even the smallest adjustments can have this monumental impact on our lives.
So this brings us to a really important question for everyone listening.
Let's hear it.
What one bad habit could you break? Or one good habit could you start to make the biggest difference in your life right now? What small shift could you make that over time would have that truly compounding effect?
That's a good one to ponder.
So we're seeing how these tiny choices can snowball into huge results, but how do we make sure we're steering that snowball in the right direction?
Well, Hardy doesn't just leave us hanging with these big ideas. He gets into the nitty-gritty, gives us tools to take control and shape those outcomes.
Okay, I'm all about practical strategies.
He starts by highlighting these hidden forces that are constantly at play, shaping our choices even when we don't realize it.
Okay, kind of like a behind-the-scenes look at our decision-making.
Exactly. He calls them the influences that shape our choices.
Let's break those down. What are we up against here?
He splits them into three main categories: input, associations, and environment. Let's start with input. What are you feeding your mind? The information you consume, the books you read, the shows you watch, even the conversations you have, it all matters.
So it's a mental diet. You are what you consume, mentally speaking.
Exactly. Think about it this way. If you were only eating junk food, your body wouldn't be functioning at its best. Right. It's the same with your mind.
So all this clickbait headlines and negative news stories, they're kind of like mental junk food.
They can be. If you're constantly bombarding your mind with negativity, it's going to skew your perception of the world and make it harder to make positive choices. Hardy calls this putting yourself on a media diet.
I like that, a media diet. So being intentional about what information you allow into your mental space.
All likely.
Yeah.
Just like you wouldn't chug a glass of dirty water, you don't want to pollute your mind with negativity.
Hardy takes it pretty seriously too, right? I remember reading that he doesn't watch or listen to the news at all.
He's incredibly selective about the information he consumes, focusing on things that are positive, inspiring, and educational.
So it's about being proactive, choosing to nourish your mind with the good stuff.
Absolutely. You wouldn't fuel your body with junk if you're training for a marathon, right?
Yeah.
Your mind deserves the same kind of care and attention.
Love that analogy. Okay, so we've talked about input. What about associations? What role do the people in our lives play?
This one's all about the company you keep. Hardy has this famous saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with."
Wow, that's a powerful statement. So we're not just talking about our friends here, right? This applies to colleagues, family, everyone we interact with regularly.
It's about recognizing that we're constantly absorbing the energy, the beliefs, and even the habits of those around us. If you're spending most of your time with people who are negative, unmotivated, or stuck in unhealthy patterns, it's going to have an impact on you, whether you realize it or not.
It makes sense. We're social creatures. We pick up on those vibes.
Exactly. And just like with input, this works both ways. Your energy and habits are also influencing those around you.
Okay, so it's two-way street. We're all shaping each other. So if you want to elevate your life, it makes sense to surround yourself with people who are already living the way you aspire to.
Exactly. Find those people who are positive, supportive, growth-minded, and aligned with your values.
It's like choosing your personal dream team. Okay, so that's input and associations. What about environment?
This one encompasses both your physical surroundings and the less tangible aspects of your environment. Think about your work culture, the social circles you move in, even the online spaces you frequent.
So it's about recognizing that our surroundings can either support or sabotage our efforts. It's more than just cleaning up your desk, right?
Exactly. It's about creating an atmosphere that's conducive to your goals and values.
Give me an example. How does this play out in real life?
Well, imagine trying to eat healthy while working in an office where there's always a bowl of candy on every desk. Or trying to focus on a creative project in a cluttered and chaotic space. Your environment is constantly sending you cues that can either support or derail your efforts.
So it's like setting yourself up for success or failure based on the environment you create.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive and designing your surroundings to support your goals.
Exactly. Hardy encourages us to be architects of our own environments.
I like that. Architects of our environments. So this is about decluttering your workspace, curating your social media feeds to reduce negativity, maybe even being intentional about the physical spaces where you choose to spend your time.
It's about recognizing that you have more control than you might think, even in areas that seem outside your direct influence. You get to choose the information you consume, the company you keep, and the environment you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And by making those choices consciously, you create this powerful foundation for positive change.
It's not just about those individual choices, then it's about being architects of our environments.
Yeah.
The information we consume, the people we surround ourselves with, the spaces we inhabit. We're painting a bigger picture here, right?
Absolutely. Hardy's approach, it's holistic. It's not just about willpower, it's about understanding how everything's connected, our choices and our surroundings.
And you know I'm all about action. So let's talk strategy. How do we use all this to get the results we want?
Well, Hardy's a big believer in tracking progress. He says, what gets measured gets managed. It's about bringing awareness to those little choices we make throughout the day, holding ourselves accountable.
It's like shining a spotlight on those habits that are usually on autopilot.
Exactly. Whether it's your spending habits, sleep patterns, exercise routine, even your interactions with loved ones, when you start tracking, you become more conscious. You see the impact.
So we're not just talking about a food journal here, we're talking about tracking all kinds of habits.
Anything. Find a system that works for you. A notebook, a spreadsheet, an app, whatever keeps you engaged.
And it's not just about tracking the bad stuff either, right?
No, it's about celebrating the wins too, no matter how small. Positive reinforcement is huge.
It's like those gold stars we got in elementary school. They really worked, huh?
Exactly. Acknowledging those little victories keeps you motivated.
Okay, so we've got our habits dialed in, we're tracking our progress, we're creating supportive environments. What's next? How do we kick things into high gear?
This is where Hardy's Go for the WW concept comes in. It's about exceeding expectations, pushing past your comfort zone, creating those moments that really stand out.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example. What does that wow factor look like in action?
It could be as simple as adding a few extra reps to your workout, even when you think you're done. Or taking the time to write a handwritten thank you note instead of a quick email.
Oh, I love that. Those personal touches, they make a difference.
They do. Or imagine showing up in person for a job interview when everyone else is doing it virtually.
Now that would make an impression. So it's about finding those little ways to go above and beyond.
Exactly. It shows commitment, creativity, that you're willing to go the extra mile.
And Hardy also talks about the power of doing the unexpected, being bold, making a statement.
He uses Richard Branson as an example. The guy's a master at it, driving a tank down Fifth Avenue to launch Virgin Cola.
That's definitely memorable.
It's about thinking outside the box, taking calculated risks, finding those creative ways to make a lasting impact.
And when you combine that boldness with the consistency of the compound effect, the results can be incredible.
Absolutely.
So to wrap things up, I think Hardy leaves us with a really powerful question, a call to action.
What is it?
What one small positive action will you commit to consistently for the next 30 days? And what do you expect the result to be?
That's a great question to reflect on. It challenges us to take ownership, to put all this knowledge into practice.
Exactly. Remember, you have the power to shape your future, one small choice at a time. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the compound effect.